Have you ever wanted to get somewhere so badly that you inadvertently hitchhiked and ended up in a situation so unbelievable that when you tell the story, most people believe you made it up? Well, I have. I'm Ben Lewis, and this is the true story of a ride I took with a couple. A ride from Veneta, Oklahoma to Ozark, Missouri. A ride that I'll never forget. This is the story of Kelly and Kat, a 4-part series delving into the craziest ride of my life. Welcome to Along for the Ride. Okay, so in case you have not listened to episodes 1 or 2 yet, let me catch you up a little bit. First off, I was out of town on a business trip to Tulsa, Oklahoma. On my way back, my car overheated and I had to pull over. I was then introduced to my new friend Kelly, who pulled over to save me and drive me to my family. Now, Kelly's a nice guy, but he has a really foul mouth. His wife, who is a doctor and is also blind, is in the front seat. I'm in the back seat, passenger side, crowded by several obsolete printers that I was taking home to dispose of, but Kelly wanted. And we enter the highway like a shot out of a gun. Now, Kelly drives fast. Kelly drives crazy, and he spends half the time turned around talking to me. He and Kat are moving to Branson because they were kicked out of Oklahoma because Kelly punched his old lady landlord. If you want more on that, make sure you listen to episode 2. We are driving and we have a narrow miss with a tornado. They seriously, literally wanted me to get out and lay with them in a ditch to save our lives. Fortunately, I talked my way out of that and we kept driving. Okay, so now you're caught up. All right, now I've made mention to Kat's vision impairment multiple times in this story. Now, I'm not insensitive to the fact. It's just she's obviously not blind, like, at all. There is never a point in the story that they tell me this or that I officially confirm it. It's just she's sees tons of stuff. Like at one point, okay, so I know that even if you were vision impaired, you could say like, I see this or I see that just because you kind of feel that, you know, this is the situation. I'm aware of that. But like at one point, Kelly was speeding through traffic, which was, I say at one point, that was pretty much the whole ride. My phone was almost dead and I needed to charge it. And I'm like, hey, can I plug it in back here? And they said, well, you just hand me your phone and I'll plug it in right here and set it on the console. This made me nervous because this whole time I'm like texting my wife, Christy, and saying, these people are crazy. They're probably going to try to kill me. This guy drives like he's insane. They want me to get out in a tornado. And I'm just, basically venting and kind of keeping her updated. But if they were to read it, they may have taken it the wrong way. Like I thought they were crazy or something. Right? Okay. So I was nervous that they would see, like, if a text comes through and it's from Christy and she says something like, how are those crazy people treating you? And then they're like, what, you think we're crazy? And then they pull over and then they kill me because of a text message. So, that's going through my head. So anyway, my phone's sitting on their console. And Kelly is weaving in and out of traffic, and he comes up on a semi-truck, and he slams on brakes. Well, this throws me into the back of the seat. My phone flies into the front passenger floorboard, which is where Kat was sitting, and I'm panicked for my safety. I'm also like, where's my phone? Because this is my only lifeline to the civilized world. And Kelly says, I don't know. I think it flew up here. And Kat says, oh, I see it right there. It's the silver one. And so, like, if she just said, like, oh, I see it right here because, like, she felt it, I'd have got that. But she's like, it's the silver one. And I'm like, yeah. So she wasn't blind, and I don't get it. And maybe this was, like, a joke on me that they were playing, or maybe it was, like, tongue-in-cheek or whatever. But they kept referring to Kat as blind, but Kat kept seeing things. So I hope that this explains this a little bit. I'm not insensitive to vision impairment. It's just that she wasn't blind the entire time. I'm positive she wasn't blind. She saw a tornado. She saw my phone. There's different things. So that kind of explains that a little bit, I hope. Okay, so now it's time for episode 3, entitled Getting Closer to Home. Now, we all have songs that bring back memories. Some of the memories are of good times, Some of the memories are bad times. Some of the memories are of people we love. Some are the memories of people that we would be fine with never seeing again, or maybe like a good time we had. Okay. So, for instance, when I hear What Goes Around Comes Back Around by Justin Timberlake, I'm reminded of a wedding reception that my wife and Christy and I were at where we coaxed the microphone out of the DJ's hands. He did not want to give it to me. I told him I wanted to do a toast for the bride and groom, and I asked him for this song as the backing track, when in reality, what I wanted to do was sing this song and perform it. And, my wife and I, we nailed it. There's no video evidence. You're just gonna have to trust me that we killed it with JT's What Comes Around Goes Back Around. So that would be an example of a good memory of a song. Okay, another example would be like a song from childhood, okay? So one song that I remember vividly from childhood is a song called Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus. Okay? If you don't remember this classic, Spotify, I guess. But okay, so my parents were in, as I remember it, some kind of line dance competition, and they would practice this dance over and over and over again in the garage. They could really hit that achy breaky, but we heard the song so much that I never ever wanted to hear it again. So decent memory, but please don't let me hear that song again. That's different than What Goes Around Comes Back Around. Every time I hear that, I think about how awesome we performed that song at that wedding reception. Okay, but that's kind of the deal here, except when Kelly heard a song that brought back memories for him, they weren't so. So at this point, we are still barreling down the highway at breakneck speeds, and Kelly, we've avoided the tornado. Kelly's showed me pictures. We've gotten to know each other a little bit better. I know why they're moving to Branson. It is, still crazy. But it gets kind of quiet, okay? And Kelly's a smoker, which doesn't bother me. It's whatever for me. But he'll smoke a cigarette, roll the window down, roll it back up, and it's been pretty normal, thus far. So we're driving down the road, and he's kind of flipping through the radio dial, and I'm hearing stations that I would stop at, but he keeps going. He's the one driving, so you're at the mercy. And he turns on what sounds like the oldest, saddest country song that I've ever heard in my life. And I'm pretty good at knowing music and artists and stuff like that. My wife and I, we have a DJ company. We, perform at weddings and stuff like that. So kind of, knowing songs is kind of my deal a little bit. But I could not, for the life of me, pinpoint who the artist was and what the song was. Otherwise, I promise I would play it for you right now. So I'm going to need you to use your imagination and just think of the oldest, twangiest, saddest country love song that you've ever heard in your life. Okay, so this is the song he stops on. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess it's kind of mellow, so I'm thinking maybe it'll mellow out the situation and things won't be as up in the air. So he turns it on, and he instantly hits that pack of Marlboro Lights and lights one up, rolls his window down. This is normal, but then he slumps down in his seat. Okay, I'm not talking about like he slumps down a little bit. I mean, he's not a tall guy anyway. And we're in a truck, and he slumps down so deep into his seat that his eyes, like for him to see the road, they must be going between the top of the steering wheel and the top of the dashboard, if you know what I'm saying, like a little slit in between there. He has slumped down that low in his seat, and he's smoking this cigarette, like angrily smoking this cigarette, and he's ashing it out the window, and he's like shaking his head from left to right, like against the back of the seat, like he's visibly distraught. Okay. Then he starts crying, and like he is openly weeping, like a loud sob as he's listening to this song. And Kat says, "I don't know why you do this to yourself." And he said, "You know I can't help it. You know I can't help it when I hear this song." And she said, if this song does this to you, why do you listen to it?" And he says, "'Cause I loved her. 'Cause I loved her and she left me." And he's like shaking his head and it's getting erratic. But like you would think, okay, well, maybe he slowed down. No, he's still going 95 miles an hour. It's just now he's slumped down and his eyes are full of tears and he is shaking his head from left to right, crying. Kat's yelling at him to calm down, turn the song. We can't think about her. You can't think about her. And Kelly's saying, "She's all I think about. She's all I think about, Kat. You can't tell me not to think about her. She's all I think about." And this is happening. And at the same time, I'm thinking, like, you guys are in a relationship, but like you're over here sobbing over the one that got away. And Kat's telling you to turn off the song so you're not thinking about your ex. But like, this is still a thing that's happening. And it is blowing my mind. I have no idea what's going on. So I say, "Kelly, what's the deal, bud?" And he's like, "Ben, I was in love once. I was in love and she left me. She left me for another. And this was our song. This was our song." And I was like, thinking to myself, man, it's kind of a sad song anyway, but everybody has their preferences. And I'm trying to talk him down. I'm trying to get him to calm down a little bit. Finally, it's of no doing of my own, but the song finally ends, okay? The song ends. He wipes the tears from his eyes. He flicks his cigarette out the window. And he gets back to driving. And he completely does a 180. Starts laughing, talking about how good of a driver he is again. And how we're making killer time from Veneta, Oklahoma to Ozark, Missouri. And he's back pumped up again. I mean, he went from the lowest of lows back to the highest of highs. And it was just the song was what, 3 minutes? But it was another 3-minute window of, am I going to die right now? It's raining. I don't even think he can see the road. And he's crying. And then it's over. So, just another little hiccup in our drive back. And just another unbelievable situation that I cannot believe that we made it through Kelly's sad, sad love song. Okay, so if you are married or you're in a long-term relationship, you've found that love of your life. Everybody has the story of how they met. I know my wife and I have our story. It is a fairy tale. I know that other people have stories that it's almost like maybe they accidentally ended up in a relationship that they are in forever. And some are just, regular stories. Some are stories where high school sweethearts and stuff like that. I get the chance to learn how Kelly and Kat met each other. And let's just say that it wasn't exactly a romance novel. It sounds sketchy and there's a lot of holes. And sometimes I try to fill in those holes with safe assumptions, but that's what we're going to talk about here is how Kelly met Kat. So we've just gotten done with Kelly's emotional breakdown to this sad country love song about the one that got away. And I am always the kind of guy that is looking to maybe take an uncomfortable situation and make it comfortable again. So we've just gotten done with the breakdown and it's quiet. And he's chilled out a little bit. Kat seems kind of distraught, and so I kind of feel bad for her because she seems nice. And so I say, how long have you guys been together? and they tell me they've been together for, roughly a year. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. And I say, how did you guys meet? Well, I didn't exactly get an answer as to how they met, but here's what they told me. The answer was that Kat, who, as we've established numerous times, is a doctor and has doctorates in 7 different areas. And no, I don't know them, but I know that they exist because they told me, was married to another man who was also a doctor in Oklahoma. So they were married, and somehow Kelly began to live with them in their home. I'm not sure if he was like a family friend or if they were renting out a room or if he was somebody that they were trying to help out or what the deal was. I don't know the answer to that. But Kelly came to live with them in their home. And they told me a story of a love that blossomed between the two of them and uh how they ended up falling in love with each other. But her husband knew about it, but approved of their relationship. And so they all 3 lived in the house at the same time. But at this point, Kat and her husband were no longer an item, but Kat and Kelly were. And the husband was fine with it, but he had certain rules that I'm still unaware of, but they didn't tell me what the rules were, but they had to follow the rules, is what they said. We could be together, but we had to follow the rules. And when Kelly started talking about the rules, he got furious and he's like, ain't no man gonna tell me when I can be with my lady. And I'm like, yeah, but like, she's actually his lady and it's like his house, right? So then they tell me that they decided that they needed to escape and run away together. And that they made a plan that when he was at work, they were going to take everything they needed from the house. And Kelly started laughing and said, yeah, everything. I needed everything. So it sounds like they took everything and left this house and her old life behind with her husband of, I'm assuming, a significant amount of time, and start anew with Kelly, and now on the run to another state. So it seems like she went from being married to another doctor, like a doctor married to a doctor in a relationship, to, that got boring, but here's this, wild new stallion, Kelly, and let's run off into the sunset together. So that's how Kelly met Kat. Not exactly, a Hallmark movie, maybe more like a Lifetime movie, but yeah, that was surprising. I wanted to like follow up and dig into that a little deeper, but you know, other things kept popping up. Okay, so we are getting closer and closer to Ozark. Like so I've texted my wife and she's planning to meet us at the middle exit in Ozark at a gas station. And Kelly is going to drop me off and I'm going to hop in with her and I'm going to thank Kelly and offer him money for the ride. And then we are going to be on our way and I'm going to tell my wife this story that maybe she believes, maybe she doesn't. And I will also tell this story for the rest of my life. And that's what I think is going to happen because we're so close. And like whenever you're on a road trip and you're getting closer and closer to home, that the closer you get, the longer the road trip takes. Like 15 minutes, whenever you still got, 3 hours in a road trip, 15 minutes will kind of go by quick. But whenever there's 15 minutes left in the road trip completely, it will just drag, right? Like drag on. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. So at this point, we are, we're about north of Springfield, Missouri. So Springfield's about, to drive on the highway 10, 15 minutes from Ozark, and we're heading that way. We're getting close. We're on the home stretch. I think we're almost there. I think that I've made it through. Surely nothing else will happen. So we're getting close. We're driving down I-44, and we're about to hit the exit off-ramp area to hit 65 South to go towards Ozark. And at this point, it's kind of like I'm starting to do my like goodbyes and thank yous kind of thing. And, you know, this was a fun trip. Nice meeting you guys. Memories for a lifetime. You know, Kelly's saying, you know, hey, whenever we stop, I need to get your contact information. I'm like, yeah, sure. And we're on our way. Okay, so I've texted my wife. We are about 5 minutes from her. And all of a sudden we hit traffic and the traffic's backed up. And I see that the traffic is backed up, and it's significant. Like you know, the traffic's backed up, but you can't see the wreck yet. You just know that there's something happening up there. And there's like you're having to pull over because like ambulances are driving up and police cars are driving up. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, we're just gonna be stuck here for a minute. Well, so I'm expecting Kelly to start decelerating to a stop, but instead we're in the left-hand lane. Instead, he gasses it, hits the shoulder of 65, and starts flying down the shoulder. And I go, Kelly, what are you doing? What are you doing, Kelly? He said, you don't get it, Ben. I'm a first responder. I'm a first responder, Ben, and I need to get up here and make sure people get out of the way. So what he starts doing is he is flying down the shoulder, and then he cuts back in front of cars, and he slams on the brakes, and he starts waving them over to the left, waving them over to the right. He's, in his opinion, he's helping the emergency vehicles get to where they need to go. But in reality, it is just making a mess, and it is panicking me. I'm like, what are you doing? Can we just stop and we'll follow the flow of traffic? And he's like, I am a first responder. This is my duty. This is my duty, Ben. I'm a first responder. And Kat's like, he is a first responder. Kelly said, now you're about to see some good driving, Ben. And he goes from shoulder, cuts in front of the 2 lanes, goes to the other shoulder. I mean, people can tell that he is driving crazy. So like they are stopping and letting him go, but he is like popping from one side to the other. We're driving down 65 and we get to almost the first exit of Ozark. And at this exit you can see my church off to the left. And there's an ambulance that is, you know, they're there, and fire truck and police. And so there's obviously been an accident. And so he's getting closer, and he's like, do I need to get out? Cat baby, do I need to get out? You think they need my help? And I'm thinking, they don't need your help, bro. They've got it under control. And he's like, but I need to help him, Ben. And I guess it's commendable that he wants to help, but also sometimes like people can be in the way in these situations and be not a help when they're trying to be a help. So I'm trying to keep him in the truck and keep us in our lane. And he says, Cat baby, what do I do? Cat baby, what do I do? And she says, Kelly, I think they've got it under control. It looks like they have enough people. It looks like they have enough. And I'm like, okay, so Cat sees all the people. Kelly has decided to take Kat's advice, and so he starts to slow the truck down. And this is after 1 full mile of driving so to cap it off, like, I think we're almost there. I think it's going to slow down, but then this last little seriously insane event happens, and we're driving past this accident. And he's calmed down, and he's driving normal at this point. And so I think we're cool again. So then we keep driving, and we get closer, and Kat just lets out the loudest scream. She goes, oh. And I was like, what is going on? And Kelly's like, Cat baby, what's wrong? And Cat goes, there's a baby in there. Okay, we are just driving past the accident. You can't see anything. I mean, even though we're going slow, you don't know who's there. You can't tell, like, it doesn't look like it's like a minivan that says baby on board. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does she know there's a baby in there? Okay. And she is crying and she is screaming and she is sobbing. And I am 3 minutes from my wife and family waiting for me in our minivan. And Kelly's crying and he's like, cat baby, what's wrong? How's the baby, Cat? How's the baby, Cat? And Cat's like, the baby. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I am floored. I can't believe this is happening. She's screaming about this baby. And she's just, oh, baby. And then all of a sudden she goes, oh, wait. And Kelly looks at her like wide-eyed. He's like, yeah, baby. And she goes, the baby's okay. The baby's okay. And he goes, man, Ben, she knows about this stuff, man. She's got a sixth sense, man. She knows about this stuff. There was a baby. She knew it was there. She knows it's okay, man. Ben, you can calm down, Ben, man. You can calm down. And I'm like, I can't calm down, like, forever. For the rest of, my life, I don't know if I can calm down from this. And I'm thinking, we are so close. We're so close to my wife. So close to getting home. Next time on Along for the Ride, we make it. Kelly has got me to my family. The story is over. Or so I thought. Please, if you've enjoyed this show, please follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts to be notified of new episodes. Share it with your friends. Please rate 1 to 5 stars. Share it on social media. It really helps spread the story around. You know, I've told this story several times, but I've always got time constraints. Like, I've always got a certain period of time that I've got to finish the story. And it's been a blast telling you guys this story so far. It was the craziest thing that ever happened to me. Well, one of them. And I appreciate you listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Ben Lewis. Until next time.